What's up, everybody? Okay, so we've been talking a lot about rhythmic structure, rhythmic phrasing, and then thinking of a guitar solo as almost either a conversation or like public speaking, right? So not everything has to be written out, but you have to know how the language works, all right? So I had a very, very eye-opening lesson with a student, young kid too, 15 or so, really great guitar player, and we were just trying to get down to like if we have like that like those structures that really go together very well. And he said, "Oh man," as he's doing, he's like, "I just want to riff away, but then I get really lost." When he starts like, and the reason that you're getting lost is think of it like a language. Think of it like telling a story. I almost think of that because that's so common when we get somebody in and it's just like, all right, like I'm gonna play this. Go ahead and just show me something on the pentatonic, and it is just. And they think, oh, I need more. This is getting boring. I'm backing myself into a corner. I gotta go. Give me another scale. Not the case. Let's work on using the words, so to speak. Let's tell a story using the words or the pentatonic, the notes in the pentatonic, before we start, really upping our vocabulary with, other modes and things like that. I almost think of it like a 5-year-old that's like kind of like pulling on your shirt, and they're just like telling you like random story after random sentence that don't really string along at all. As cute as it is, it's adorable, but it doesn't go anywhere and it doesn't end. There's no beginning, there's no end, and there's no direction. So to get direction, let's think of this just like a language, okay? So how I usually train somebody is immediately off the bat playing the same thing 4 times in a row. I'm just going to move down to A. So right, if we're doing the A pentatonic, this will work. I'm going to give you guys something a little practical to practice. But this will work with any mode, any key, whatever. I'm just kind of using the pentatonic because it's a really good starting point. But if you would be surprised at how many people can't, like if we just have this. Can't play the same thing 4 times in a row. Now, if you're thinking of this like a story, if you can't repeat the same sentence 4 times in a row, the same phrase 4 times in a row, what are the chances you can string a whole bunch of these together that have a little bit to do with the last thing that you just said, right? Kind of ties in and then continues the story along. Probably not very well. So the one thing that I was having some of my students do that was really, really beneficial was we were working in this sort of blues thing, right? And I said they weren't getting it, which was fine because it is a difficult concept if it's something that you've never practiced before. But I said, just take the phrase, and I know I did a video of this before, "My dog has the blues," something nice and simple. And I don't even want you guys, or if you guys are going to practice this, I don't even want you to sing it, because if you're singing it, you're going to start putting pitch to it. I just want it to be said because I want what you're playing on the guitar to match up with the words. So if you say, "My dog has the blues" 4 times in a row, what you're going to do is you're going to attach those words to the notes that you're playing, right? Instead of trying to sing it and add pitch with your voice, we're just going to do it on the guitar, and it's a little bit visual too. The guitar is a very visual instrument. You kind of say like 10, 8, 5, whatever. So that was really the first test was, okay, here we go. My dog has the blues. Same thing, just my dog has the blues. Really easy. Now every time they said "my dog has the blues," they played that exact riff. So what we did now is, okay, let's go to another one. But now I want you to think of, well, what would you say after "my dog has the blues"? You could change it a little bit. "My dog really has the blues." "My dog has the blues bad." Whatever it was. Okay, that's another note added in. Now, that's a little different of a phrase. If we took that, what was I doing? "My dog has the blues." Okay, cool. So we did like, "My dog has the blues real bad." Like, right? Pretty close to that first one. A little bit different, a little accentuated. We're changing it just a little bit, like we're changing that sentence a little bit. It's not as basic. Okay, so that becomes now my first phrase. "My dog has the blues." Okay, not all the syllables are going to match up to every single note, just so you guys know. It's just something a little visual and auditory for us to kind of attach to. So now, a little bit more on that is My Dog Really Has the Blues. If you take, 8, 5, and 8 on the second string back to that 5, now you can do... All right, that little 8, 5 pull off, 8, 5, 2 8s on the second string, back to that 5. Now, if I play those two phrases back to back, or whatever I did, having those similarities is what is going to now string those two together. Okay, so not only in the language concept of My Dog Has the Blues, My Dog Really Has the Blues, My Dog Has the Blues Bad, but we're using that same idea where we're just taking this basic phrase, okay, and adding a little bit more to it, but never getting away from that original phrase, okay? So the first step is putting on whatever blues backing track, and it is, can you just play something without really thinking about it, without writing it down, just play something 4, 5 notes, 3 notes even, and play it 4 times in a row. Then can you play it and just start changing things a little bit without losing the original concept of that phrase, right? Kind of keeping the concept, keeping the core of that phrase, keeping the rhythm somewhat together, Now what you're doing is, if you're taking this practice, what'll happen is you'll have that, and then onward, down the line, your last one could be, right? Now those two, back to back, don't have anything to do with each other. But if there was a gradual evolution from one to the next, then they would. If I were to jump in, usually if we have like that kind of jam session or whatever, if I jump in, that is 4 specific phrases strung together. It's like saying 4 sentences really quickly, right? That all tie in together, a warning of some sort. Okay, they're not random, and it's not that little 5-year-old that's kind of like tugging on your shirt telling you a whole bunch of different things. Those all string together. So if we can't do that, there's no way that those faster phrases together are going to work. It's the same thing going to another country. If you can't say, where is the bathroom? I would like a drink. There's no way that you're going to be able to string together a larger picture. So to get really practical with it, I would like for you guys to try just doing 4 of the exact same phrases in a row. Change it, do 4 more. And then change it and do 4 more. That's a great rotation. It will start sounding boring. It will start sounding mundane. It will start sounding predictable. That is what we're going for. We want it to sound predictable, right? So now we sort of end up having this road of predictable and then in sort of chaotic, right? And being able to move in and out instead of just kind of sticking to predictable, right? All right, now I want to change it up, and then it just... Okay, now those, we're not moving nicely from one to the other. So predictable, 4 in a row, predictable, 4 in a row, predictable, 4 in a row. Let's take one step over this way. Predictable, let's do phrase 1, phrase 2, completely different. 2, 3, 4. Right? Back to phrase 1. Okay, and then back to phrase 2. So you kind of have an A, B, A, B in those 4 phrases. Now you have A, B, A, B. Try that pattern for a little while. Come up with a phrase, and then play a completely different phrase right next to it. Come back to the first phrase, and then come back to the second phrase. Move on to another 4. Then from there, you can start taking those 4 A, B, A, B phrases and changing them just a little bit. So A and B, right? And then this one is a lot like A, but you changed it just a little bit like we did before. My dog has the blues. My dog really has the blues. My dog has the blues real bad. You know, and then when you get to this fourth phrase, the next B, it is similar to this one, but you're changing it a little bit. Right now what we're doing is we're taking super predictable and we're going to start jumping one step down the line and down the line. Now, another one that I really like is taking one phrase and playing it each time just a little bit differently, okay? Now there's things that we can add rhythmically. So I like sticking to the same rhythm and changing the notes, okay? That rhythm is going to be very predictable. So it's going to start sounding mundane. That's perfectly fine. That's what we want, okay? So when you have this, whatever it is, that rhythm stays the same and you're changing the notes, okay? Now, that's awesome. Do that 4 times, okay? 4 of the same rhythm, different notes. 4 of the same, pick another rhythm, do 4 of that rhythm, change the notes, right? Same thing that I just did if you switch down here. You know, every time it's a little bit different pitch-wise, but the rhythm's the same. That starts to get a little bit more difficult because the visual rhythm of it, right? With like, oh, okay, this note I'm hitting in that length and that many times, it starts to change. So this starts getting a little bit more challenging, right? Now, if you're able to do that, it'll start sounding mundane, which is what we want to go for. We want it to start sounding tired and then moving on to the next one. Now, what we do is we take the same notes in the same pattern, all right? But you're gonna completely change the rhythm. This one's a little bit more challenging. I'm not sure if I can just knock this out right off the bat. But if we do like same notes, so maybe adding an extra note that I just did there. So now same notes, different rhythms. This one, you're still holding on to somewhat of the same concept, you're just saying it very differently. So a rhythmic structure that has notes changing around it is going to have a little bit more continuity than pitch structure with the rhythmic changes, okay? Because this, if you do like 1, 2, 3, 4, they sound a little bit more similar than if I do 2, 3, 4. You know, it might, depending on how you're playing it, that might start changing your ideas a little bit more, but having that pitch in that order is still going to have that idea stringing through. You know what I mean? So now that's your other one. Pick four phrases, you know, same notes, right? Every single time you're changing the phrase a little bit, switch to the next 4, okay? Now we're slowly making our way over to that chaotic wild side. Now what you can do is start interweaving these. 4 same rhythm, different notes, right? 4 same notes, different rhythms. 4 A, B, A, B, right? Then 4 A, B, A, B, but you're gonna change this A a little bit from this one and change this B a little bit from this one. You know, now we're really starting to move in and out, and we're keeping the listener on their toes, but still able to kind of like pull them through the story and not completely leaving them hanging, because everything has something to do with the last thing that you just said, the last thing that you just expressed, okay? And moving closer and closer, so when you want to jump into something that isn't so structured, it's not going to be so completely random, because there are going to be little bits of this story that you're kind of pulling the listener through all of that, and it's not already boring. You know what I mean? And then the funny thing is, the faster now, it's like, oh, I want to go faster. If I do that, it doesn't make it any better now. You know? So try all of these concepts. Yes, the goal, like I said a bunch in this video. This video is a little longer than I thought it was going to be, but is to make it start sounding mundane. That is our goal, right? This is a muscle that we're flexing. Think of it like really boring, I don't know, like in the gym doing like weird exercises or whatever, that you have to do the same exercise over and over and over. Switch to a different exercise. Do that one over and over and over, right? And you don't really get to use it until you get to go, like, I don't know, running in the park or something like that for hours on end because you did the exercises. So that's how I want you guys to think about it. This is the best way to develop these improvisational skills. So I hope that video helped. That is something that I've been working with a lot of my students. It's a little bit, that's like a broad guide. It's a little bit easier to pinpoint exact issues with everybody if anybody did want to do an in-depth online lesson. But of course, that is not always possible for people. Everyone is having a little financial struggle right now. So hopefully this helped. And if you guys need any additional help, just comment or DM. See you guys.